Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to FPL Game Week 23. We are really racking up into this, and it's going to be a review of Game Week 22, preview of Game Week 23, the games in between, the points that I got, which was rubbish, and everything in between. So let's just get straight on into it, into the matches, because we started off with an absolute zinger on Saturday afternoon at lunchtime, where we had on the 17th of January, which was Manchester United, the team that hasn't had a permanent manager. Their first, Michael Carrick's come in, they've got a caretaker manager, beating Manchester City 2-0, led by Pep Guardiola. And it's one of those, I was kind of right. If you look at the last recording we did on the FPL, I predicted that Manchester United would cause Manchester City problems. And yet even I said it would only be a draw. Even I still backed Man City players. So I'm right, and I'm rubbish. Then we came on to Chelsea versus Brentford. 2-0 win for Chelsea. Calm, collected, comfortable. Leeds United continuing this incredible run that they are on. Don't know what's happened to Leeds United, but once again, fantastic result for them and having this really good run going. Liverpool also on a run, an unbeaten run. Not as impressive, though. 1-1 draw with Burnley, and actually, do you know what? Fair play to Burnley on that one. Then we had Sunderland beating Crystal Palace. Once again, Sunderland showing that they are here to stay. They are here to cause nightmares for people. That ground at Sunderland, the Stadium of Light, is an absolute fortress. Fair play, Sunderland. Well done. Tottenham Hotspur. Not as great. West Ham United beating them. It's a local rivalry as well. So West Ham, that was in relegation form, beating Tottenham Hotspur. Bit concerning for Thomas Frank. Nice bit of reprieve for West Ham United. Nottingham Forest as well did well against Arsenal, getting a draw against Arsenal. Relegation teams against London teams. Seems to be working all right for the weekend. Then we went on to Sunday. We only had two matches. We started off with Wolverhampton Wanderers getting a point against Newcastle United. And actually, I watched the second half of this match. They could have won it so many times. Matthias Mane looks incredible for Wolves. Potentially one to take a punt on in the future. Aston Villa against Everton. Everton with a better team, I've got to say. I've really got to say Everton with a better team. And they got the win. Which means that despite the fact that Arsenal dropped points, because Man City and Aston Villa lost, they actually extended their lead at the top of the table. In fact, sometimes it's good just to have a reflection of what happens in the table, and we'll do that in a minute. Then we go on to Monday, where we had a 1-1 draw between Brighton Hove Albion and AFC Bournemouth, sharing the points. Doesn't really help either of them, but a good performance from both of them. So where does that put our table right now? Because we were looking at the FPL, but it's worth looking at the league table itself and seeing where we are at. And just reflecting on everything. Arsenal, I've just realised it doesn't really fully show it, so I've got to just ignore that. Ignore everything I just said. Anyways, so where does that leave us on our points situation? Well, I told you it was rubbish. We got 32 points, and you're probably thinking it's not perfectly rubbish. Well, that was with a bench boost. We got screwed over. Mickey van der Ven didn't do well. Saliba got 8 points, which is good for him. But we got screwed over as well because the day after we set our team, Mark Gahey moved to Manchester City, so didn't play at all. We might have to consider something around that. So that is Game Week 22, but we are now getting into the crux of European matches and really starting to get into the feel of things. And you're probably going to find out in a couple of weeks' time that we're going to have even more European matches now, because we're coming up to the end of the group stages, but it looks likely that the Premier League teams that were competing in the Champions League are going to be in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. Same with the Europa League, possibly the same with the Conference League, although we need to discuss that. So let's have a look at those European matches, and we start off with Tuesday. Now, Manchester City lost 3-1 to Bodo Glimt. Now, I know my football quite well. About 3 or 4 years ago, even I hadn't heard of who Bodo Glimt were. So they are a team in Norway, I believe it is. North Norway. Right up near the north, near the Arctic Circle. It is bitterly cold up there. But even so, they are a team that, they don't earn a lot. They're Norwegian champions, but they're not, they're probably like sort of, in terms of squad quality and depth, we are talking like sort of similar to Everton, to be quite honest, that sort of thing. And they beat Manchester City 3-1. We'll discuss Manchester City when it comes to our previews. Arsenal got a comfortable win over Inter Milan, 3-1 victory for them, away at Inter Milan as well, so that was really impressive on that side. Tottenham Hotspur bouncing back to get a 2-0 victory over Borussia Dortmund as well, so fair play to them. Then we come over to the Wednesday matches, and we started off with Chelsea winning 1-0 against Paphos. Now, if all the teams had won, this would be probably the embarrassing one for Chelsea, because Paphos are a team in Cyprus. Cyprus is not a big country, and Cyprus is not awash with talent, let's say. And Chelsea just about won at home to Paphos, so that was a little bit surprising, a little bit embarrassing, but they got the win at the very least. Then we came to Marseille versus Liverpool. This was a comfortable victory for Liverpool. I'm happy to see a more measured performance. Is it to do with Salah going back? I don't know. Maybe it's putting pressure on the rest of the team. But Szoboszlai is showing his class. Ekitike showing his class again. And actually, Milos Kerkez, incredible. Fantastic work from him. And Frimpong, the similar sort of way. The wing-backs did incredible as well. Then we came to Newcastle United versus PSV. PSV are a force to be reckoned with, and Newcastle United blew them out the water. A 3-0 victory for Newcastle United. That makes a big difference, actually, because, there's 5 teams at the moment in the Premier League that are also going to potentially be going into the next round of the of the games. Now, we're recording this on Thursday, so there are matches that are still going on. There are matches that are just starting out. Aston Villa did complete their match against Fenerbahce. It was a 1-0 victory for Aston Villa. So, not comfortable, but just getting the job done, which is incredible. And the rest of the matches are currently going on right now. So, we've currently got Nottingham Forest against Sporting Braga. That is a 0-0 draw. I don't know if Crystal Palace are playing. I don't think they are. So that is, just something that's not needing to be considered. So that is important to talk about. Anyways, that is the in-between matches, and that is where we are at. So it's all about now previewing what's going to be happening over the weekend, how we feel it's going to go, and then adjusting our team accordingly. So we start off West Ham United versus Sunderland. So West Ham United did well against Tottenham Hotspur. Sunderland did well against Crystal Palace. So there's things to consider on both sides here. Have West Ham started to turn a corner? And will Sunderland's sketchy away form turn the tide? I think this one's going to end up being a draw. I can't work out if it's going to be boring 0-0 or like a 1-1 sort of draw. These are 2 teams that are actually probably the defensive teams of the league. I do think it's going to be tight. I'm going to go for a draw. I think it's going to be a 1-1, 0-0, something like that. Don't see anything too spicy, let's say. Then we come to Burnley versus Tottenham Hotspur. And, right, Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur I know we've spoken about this. I think where I said that I almost view them as a mid-table team, but they are just the gift that keeps on giving, the conundrum that keeps on puzzling. They lost to West Ham at home, but they beat Borussia Dortmund. Now, can I just say, Borussia Dortmund is one of those where they're not quite a powerhouse, but they are like the next level below. They are in a similar position to where Aston Villa are in the Premier League, where they're like that sort of constant challenge, that challenger every now and again. Borussia Dortmund are like that, and Tottenham beat them. How do you work out Tottenham Hotspur? Now, because they're playing against Burnley, I think it's going to be a very defensive performance. I actually can't see Tottenham winning. I'm going to go for a Burnley 1-0 victory. I don't know why. I'm going to go for Burnley 1-0. Fulham versus Brighton Hove Albion next, and Fulham were on a good run, and it stopped, and Brighton sort of like stop start at the moment. Gonna give it to Brighton, I think. I don't know why. I'm gonna give it to Brighton, and again, 1-0, 2-0, something like that. Now, Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. I mean, if there's a chance, if there's the opportunity for Manchester City to get their act into gear again, it's this match. But what's happened to Manchester City? We do need to talk about this actually, because there's quite a lot of conundrums that are going on right now. Conundrum number one: Haaland. There's comments saying that he's played too many games. He's playing too many games, and he needs a break. Okay, wasn't a problem previously. It was fine for him previously, and he's been electric for Man City. He's been electric for Norway. So all of a sudden, in the past 2 matches, now we're considering too many matches. I don't buy it. But do you know what the biggest conundrum is that I'm having? Rodri. Now, a couple of years ago, if you were to look at Rodri, a couple of years ago when it came to the season, to maybe even 3 years ago, right? Rodri was that player that basically, if Manchester City wanted to guarantee to Rodri to win, Man City themselves to win, they'd have Rodri in the team. Like, he was the linchpin. He was the one that kept them all together. And now he's responsible for the most amount of points dropped for Manchester City. He conceded a goal against Bodo Glimt. He got a red card against Bodo Glimt. He got 2 yellow cards, in fact. Now, he is playing this match because the red card suspensions only apply to European matches, not domestic. But what is going on? And do you know what's weird? It's got worse since they've made signings. Semenyo, Gahey, like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Man City. I really don't know what to make of Man City. Do I think they're going to get a win here? I mean, if you're just basing it off the form of 2026, you have to say it's going to be a struggle. In fact, the only thing that makes me think that Man City could get an edge is the fact that Man City is second and Wolverhampton Wanderers are 20th. But right now, Wolverhampton Wanderers seem to be playing organised, seem to be playing well. This is one of those matches that could go one of 3 ways. Man City could play angry and end up winning 5-0. It ends up being a tight 0-0 draw because Wolverhampton Wanderers are just, they're tightening things up at the back. Or we see a sneaky Mateus Mane goal or Wolverhampton Wanderers goal and Wolves get a 1-0 victory, which they're capable of doing. They could have beaten Newcastle United, and yeah. Do you know what? I've got a close friend of mine who is a Wolverhampton Wanderers fan. So in recognition of that friend, I'm gonna go for a Wolves 1-0 victory. Strand Larsen getting the goal. Matthias Mane getting the assist. Bournemouth versus Liverpool next, and okay. We talked about the conundrum that is Manchester City, and we talked about the conundrum that is Tottenham Hotspur. Now let's talk about the conundrum that is Liverpool. And you might have seen the reaction that I did to it was basically to the Liverpool-Burnley match, where I don't know what's going on and things don't seem to be working. And then Liverpool dish out the most comfortable and comprehensive victory over a top team in France, in Marseille. Now, I'm going to give this one to Liverpool, and that's more down to what Bournemouth have lost. Bournemouth have lost Semenyo. So I'm going to give it to Liverpool. It's going to be tight, but I'm going to give it to Liverpool. Now, it'd be written in the stars that Milos Kerkez gets an assist or a goal in this, but yeah, I'm going to give this one to Liverpool, I think. So that's Saturday matches. Now, Sunday matches, let's get them sorted out of the way. Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest getting that draw against Arsenal. Obviously, we'll see how they do today against Braga. But I'm going to give this one to Brentford. Again, I'm putting that trust in the goalkeeper. I'm putting my trust in Kevin Keller that Brentford will get the win, and also putting the trust in Thiago as well. Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Chelsea being disappointing. Crystal Palace being disappointing. I'm going boring. 0-0. Newcastle versus Villa. I'm going for a Newcastle win. Maybe Anthony Elanga with a couple. I'm pretty sure he scored a goal against PSV. So yeah. And then we come to the big match. The big match of the weekend. Arsenal versus Manchester United. Could Manchester United do it again? And do you know what? I think they could. My reasoning is that Manchester United under Ruben Amorim against Arsenal did look decent. And only just lost. Now I'm going to sit on the fence again. I'm going to go for another draw. But I would not be surprised if Man United won. They just look a little bit more simple, is the best way of putting it. So yeah, Manchester United, I think will have some fun. Let's just say that. And then on Monday we've got Everton versus Leeds United. Both of them won their last match, and I'm going Leeds, I think. Yeah, I'm going Leeds. That's how I'm going to do it. So, what are we going to do for our team? Now, here are the transfers that we've got. We've got one free transfer available to us. We've got to use it wisely. And I don't know. I guess the other thing we could potentially do is a free hit or a wild card. In fact, you know what? I think we do a wild card. I'm thinking potential wild card because of the Man City. No, we're going to play free hit for now. Playing a free hit. We're gonna go all out for one weekend. So, first thing I want to do, that is going to be worth considering is taking out Calvert-Lewin, bringing in Matthias Mane. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take out Johnson. I'm not convinced about Johnson. I'm going to bring in I'm bringing him back in, Florian Wirtz. I'm bringing him back in. Mark Gay, I'm not convinced yet because he might not play at all. And based on who's playing who... Mukiele. Next up, what are we going to do? There's a lot of things we've got to consider here. Potentially bring someone else in for Sunderland if we need to. Take out Wilson. We're going to bring in... Who are we going to bring in? Minter. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Do we take out Foden? Take out Robinson. I think Gabriel can play, can't he? Yeah. We're going to bring Gabriel. 1.7 million now we've got in our budget. Who else? I'm going to do... No, not Jose Sarr just yet. Do we keep Rodgers? Actually, no, we were talking about Newcastle, weren't we? So, let's have a look at Newcastle players. I'm going to take out Foden, I think. And bring in Harvey Barnes. Van der Ven, no, I'm going to bring him back in, actually. No, Van der Ven can stay. I'm happy with Van der Ven. See, we got money to spend. We got money to burn. So I'm going to take out Xhaka. Declan Rice could come in clutch. Okay, yeah, Declan Rice, I think. See, we've got 1 million still. That's the crazy thing. Yeah, we're keeping Thiago, I think. We're not going to mess up. It's 8 million. Did you know what? I'm going to go ballsy. Ekatike's coming in instead of Haaland. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but yeah, it's a free hit. What's the worst that could happen, you know? Who else? Like, we must be able to do something else here. Who else do we like sort of trust that they'll do well against opposition? Do we have a new Nottingham Forest player to cover ourselves? No. Bournemouth? No. Do you know what? We're just going to go for it. That's what we're going to do. This is that free hit. We're going to do our free hits. And I think in terms of players, I'm going to make Mateus Mane our first substitution. If it goes well, it goes well. Van der Ven. So Gabriel instead of Minter. And Reefs against West Ham. Keller against Forest. I'm going to go Reefs against West Ham. That's going to be our team. As for captains, this is very different because we don't actually have a captain at the moment. because we just took out. Right, if this goes well, I am going to be on it. So that's going to be what the team is. We're not even going to consider it too much. So yeah, all I have to say, guys, is best of luck to everybody. I hope my gamble pays off. This is big time gamble. And yeah, until next time, guys, all I have to say is take care.